Well, I guess I first want to apologize for my appearance. I was over at CCM before the meeting and helped them unload a truck that they got from Second Harvest. And so it's kind of like I'm assuming, if you look, think of it like you're all on Zoom right now. So if you just look from here, well, I probably look okay. If you look from here down, I'll kind of slouchy. So please forgive that. Yeah, at least I'm not, well, I am in my underwear, but you'll see. The season of Valentine's. It's a season where we give cards and candy and express our love to those around us. It's really the only other holiday, I totally messed that up, didn't I? It's the only other holiday that even comes close to bringing such an outward expression of love, unless you include Christmas. Christmas is another holiday where we show our love to each other and our family members. And you may find it surprising, but there are actually 332 named holidays throughout the year. Today is actually National Almond Day and National Do a Grouch a Favor Day. You can look these up on nationaldaycalendar.com, or you can contact David Snap to get one of these calendars. But the 365 days of the year, it's odd that there's only 2 that we focus on love. And it bothers me. I think, and in a way I take that as a challenge. And the challenge for us is how do we find a way to express love the other 363 days of the year? And why should it be such a challenge? I think anybody could answer that one right now. And we find ourselves living today in an extremely divided world. Social media makes it possible to insult your friends, family, and people you don't even know. We have been divided by politics and social issues, and it's divided families. And I can't recall in my lifetime such a social divide, or such a divide in the country since probably the 60s. So, how do we heal these divisions? How do we heal these divides? The answer is, and it always has been, to find ways to live out love in everything that we do. Every single day of the year. Why? It's because love always wins. Edith and I were invited to be part of a short study at a church with some friends, and it was based on a book by Philip Yancey called Vanishing Grace. And I thought, what an appropriate title. And yet the guy wrote this thing back in the 70s. So, grace hasn't vanished over the past 2 years. It's been vanishing for a long time. But as we began the study, I was reminded of the words of a popular song a few years back, probably more than a few years back, called The End of Innocence. And those words were, "These times are so uncertain. There's a yearning undefined. People filled with rage. We all need a little tenderness. How can love survive in such a graceless age?" And that got me to thinking, grace and love, how are they related? How are they intertwined? Grace is understood by Christians to be a gift from God to people. Generous, free, totally undeserved, totally unexpected. And some call it unmerited favor. How would things be different in America right now if we were to offer each other such a gift of grace? A gift of love that's generous, free, totally unexpected, totally undeserved. In February, we also celebrate the life of Martin Luther King. And if I had to choose one word to describe him, I would love would be it. Because he was a man of love, and he used love and nonviolence to address social issues in our country. He was in Chicago in 1966, and he had these words: "I'm concerned about a better world. I'm concerned about justice. I'm concerned about brotherhood and sisterhood. I'm concerned about truth. And when one is concerned about that, he can never advocate violence. For through violence you may murder a murderer, but you can't murder murder. Through violence you may murder a hater, but you can't murder hate. Darkness cannot put out darkness, only light can do that." And I say to you, I've also decided to stick with love, for I know that love is ultimately the only answer to humankind's problems. I'm going to talk about it everywhere I go. I know it isn't popular to talk about it in some circles today, and I'm not talking about emotional bosh when I talk about love. I'm talking about a strong, demanding love. For I've seen too much hate, and I say to myself that hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to love. So why should we choose love over anger or hate or division? Looking to Scripture, we can find a lot of reasons. America says it's a Christian nation. How can the world and fellow Americans know that to be true? John 13:35. By your love for each other, you will prove to the world you are my disciples. Not by our arguments, not by our logic, by our love. Why should we show love to those we dislike or disagree with? Luke 6:27. But to you who are willing to listen, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who hurt you. How can we heal our divisions? 1 Peter 4:8. Most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other, for love covers a multitude of sins. Why, as Christians, should we show love to everyone? 1 John 4:8. Anyone who does not know love does not know God, for God is love. Or John 15:12. This is my commandment, love each other in the same way I have loved you. Maybe I'm just naive. Maybe Martin Luther King and Jesus were wrong, and love is not the most powerful force. Maybe anger and disagreement and hatred and force will win out. But I really don't believe that. I believe the red letters, and I believe that Martin was right when he spoke in Birmingham in 1957. Jesus was very serious when he gave this command, the command to love. He wasn't playing. He realized it's hard to love your enemies. He realized it's difficult to love those persons who seek to defeat you, those persons who say evil things about you. He realized it was painfully hard, pressingly hard, but he wasn't playing. Done with that anyway. When I was at district conference several years back, the speaker was a fellow who was with the Chick-fil-A Foundation, and I couldn't tell you his name right now for $1 million, but I do remember what he said there, and that was he asked his grandmother when he was a child, said, Grandma, how can I change the world? And she said, use the 3-foot rule. Whatever you can touch, 3 feet from you, that's where you start. That's how you change things. I asked Dave to put this slide up, and probably you're wondering, what does this have to do with anything? But it really is answering one of my questions, and that's what does love look like to you? My grandkids and I like to draw in the driveway with chalk, and a lot of grandkids or kids, they like dinosaurs. We've been watching, which my daughter-in-law questions. A Blue Oyster Cult video. It's a music video to the song Godzilla. They love it because it has the old Godzilla, video in it. But anyway, they asked me to draw Godzilla, and I said, okay, I'll give that a shot. And so I drew Godzilla, and then Nolan, my 5-year-old, he drew a heart in it. In fact, I need to hold that up. Where's our Zoom camera?
Actually, you're looking at it.
They can see all of this.
Okay.
They can see everything.
Oh, they can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. He drew a heart in it, and he said, there's his heart. And then, sorry to get choked up on this one. My 3-year-old granddaughter, she said, he has love in his heart. And I thought, how did I just learn this from grandkids? How did I just learn that everything has a heart, and everything can have love in its heart? And how would the monsters in our world, throughout history, how would they be different if people had poured love on them instead of whatever was poured that turned them into the monsters they became? So my question to you right now is, what does love look like to you? Boy, y'all are really helping me out.
Patient, love is kind. Love does not judge.
I think love is when, as Rotarians, I can think of several instances, but two come to mind right away is when we give books away to children. That's really love. Those kids they soak it up. And when people work with Elaine over to do meals at CCM, I think that's love.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I don't know if you paid attention to the pictures that were scrolling around while we were eating, but one of them was the lines of food trays. And, to me, that was a picture of love. That was a picture of meals being prepared by the community. So, I guess our challenge now is how can we show love, not just to those that we know, but to everyone, every single day? Any ideas?
Simple acts of kindness.
Yeah, I put on the table some pages that are simple acts of kindness. And, some of them they're all simple. I mean, they're all things that we can easily do every single day, whether they be to those near us or not. And last week, I put some Valentines on the table. Does anyone have anything you'd like to share if you took a Valentine and gave it to someone? I'm interested in hearing how Cameron got in trouble for flirting with the guy at the grocery store.
I did not touch that with a 10-foot pole.
I gave mine to the little lady at Waffle House on Sunday, the little lady that clears the tables, and it wasn't quite Valentine's Day, it was Sunday, but she held the door for us when we left too, so that was nice.
Yeah, I gave out 2 or 3. I gave one to the lady up at the lab that took my blood, a little Oriental lady, and her English was not really good, but she seemed very happy to get it. So I guess in closing, this is a challenge for all of us. How can we show love to a world that desperately needs it? And so in closing, I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of this club. Rotary is a group that expresses love in a lot of different ways in our community. Through your offerings of time and talents and treasure, we do make a positive contribution to the community. And, we are changing lives and we're touching people. And that's sometimes just being touched or being acknowledged is important. Service of self is an expression of love. And so I guess the challenge today is how can we go forth and 365 days a year find ways to blunt the anger of this age with a daily dose of love, because they're desperate for it. And I don't think anybody wants what we got. And if Kim's on here, I don't know, was Kim on here?
She is.
Yeah. All right. I think we ought to all wish Kim a quick recovery. And if y'all would join me in saying, Kim, we love you. We can't wait to see you back. Thank y'all.
Kim, we love you. Kim, we love you. Well said.
She's waving to everybody.
Thanks, Wayne.